Peace, YouTube. Back at it with another video. You dig what I'm saying? And we get right into it. You know the vibes. So this video, I want to talk about let me close the door. I want to talk about the importance. Well, let's say this. Appreciate the past, but don't live in the past. / explaining the relation between your current self and your past self, right? So we'll start off with the first one. A lot of people get too caught up in past accomplishments. I've noticed that big time. A lot of people get way too caught up in their past accomplishments, and it hinders them because they're so enamored with that old version of themselves to the point to where they can't build that new character arc that matches with their current lifestyle or that current phase of the life that they're in. So let me break this down. When you go through life, you go through different character arcs. So in high school, you may have been a top athlete, but the next phase of your life may call for you to step into a new character archetype. You feel me? But if you're still always reflecting on that past character arc or these past moments that you always had, you can't come into fulfillment within that new character archetype because your head is always in the past. That character archetype is gone. The only thing you have left from the past is memories. So now you're not even living in the past, you're living in past memories because the past don't exist. You feel me? The past don't exist. So you're living in past memories. So a person who's not able to grow beyond those memories that they had, regardless of how good they were, a person who is not able to grow past these memories, they're not able to step into that new character archetype that they're supposed to be stepping into. And what they don't even understand is this new character archetype can be even better than the last one. But you're so enamored with that past you, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh man, that was the highlights of my life." With you accepting that it is the highlight of your life, then so it will be. As a man thinketh, so it is. So if you think that's your peak of your life, that's the best you're gonna do in life, that's the highlight of your life, then there it is. A man doesn't become defeated until he accepts defeat. Until then, he's not defeated. Until you accept defeat, that's when you become defeated. So that's what a lot of people do when they say, "Oh man, that was my peak, man." You've accepted that, therefore it is. But if you never accepted that as being your peak, you don't know what kind of character archetype you could have became into. Just because you was a star athlete in high school, you could have been, you know what I'm saying, the CEO of a company, or a top manager at a top company, or a high level investor, or a technician working on high end cars. You don't know. We think we can see our future, but we really can't. We have a vision of where we want to go, but we don't necessarily know how we're gonna get there, like with specific steps. You feel me? Just start listening to people documentaries and their interviews, and they'll tell you like they took certain paths that they wouldn't have guessed in a million years they would have took, and still got to their end goal, to their end vision, but just took a different route in getting there. You feel me? So when you're always living in the past, I'm not saying devalue the past or completely disregard the past, because in a few I'm going to talk about how it's a relationship between your past self and the current you. So it's not about completely disregarding the past, but it's also it's about understanding that the only thing I have from the past is the memories. Me constantly trying to go back and living in the past isn't doing nothing for my current self. Everything that you do on a day-to-day basis should be helping the current you. You're constantly trying to feed, when you keep looking back at the past, you're constantly trying to feed the ego of that past you. You're constantly trying to fulfill that past you that you still holding on to. But you don't exist in that character arc anymore. So why are you constantly still thinking about things that character arc was thinking about when you're no longer even in that character archetype anymore? You feel me? So now let's make the relation with your current self and your past you. Your past version was a stepping stone or a building block to the current version you are now. So which is why I don't say disregard your past self, you know what I'm saying, or shun it, because that past you, whether you like that past you or not, was a stepping stone or a building block to the person you are today, or it helped you get to the point to where you are today. Even if you're a completely different version of who you are now than you were then, you still had to go through that phase to become the person that you are now. So which is why it is important to appreciate your past self, but don't try to live or reincarnate in your past archetype while being incarnated in your new archetype, in your new character arc. You feel me? Because you're gonna find yourself going in the loop, going nowhere, because you keep thinking on these past memories and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's important to appreciate your past self. But when you too deeply indulged in it, you can't take the steps necessary for you to start building that new character archetype. You can't become that new version of yourself. And here's another thing. When you're able to appreciate the past you, you're able to grow at a higher rate. You feel me? Even the version that you're seeing in me now, a couple years, when I become that newer version of myself, and I'm constantly evolving, so I become a new version every day. But I'm talking about in terms of, in a sense, kind of really breaking into a whole new version. I'm going to look back at this current version. I'm going to look back at these videos, and I'm going to be like, I'm gonna look back in appreciation, not looking back in dwellment or trying to dwell in that past me, but I'm gonna look back in appreciation, like, I thank you for setting up these building blocks for the individual that I am today. That's what you need to be using your current and your past self for. Live for the moment, but the things that you're doing for the moment, you want to make sure that later years on in your life, when you 2 or 3 years down the road, you want to be able to look back at that past version and be like, I'm glad I made those. I'm glad I made those decisions. Or even if it was a mistake, I needed to learn that mistake then instead of now. I needed to take that chance. I needed to take that risk then instead of now. A lot of things you're doing right now won't necessarily make sense, or a lot of things that happen in your life won't necessarily make sense now, because it's not supposed to make sense as a current version of yourself. It's only supposed to make sense as a past version of yourself, looking back while you're the future version of yourself. You get what I'm saying? So things that's happening to you right now, it really won't make sense to you because you're in the understanding of the present version of you. But once you look back at these things that's happening to you as your present self, when you look back at those things as the future you, it's going to make much more sense, because it's going to be more easily digestible and easier to understand in that new character archetype, because that's really when it's for you to understand. Everything that's going on right now, you ain't going to be able to really understand why it's happening like it is. Something you just gotta flow with it, allow things to be, and continue to go, continue to move. Don't stay stagnant. Regardless of what's happening, always try to find some lane that you can keep stepping in, even in the lane that you thought was gonna be going, and it ain't going how you think it's supposed to be going. Start moving it and start. You know what I'm saying? Start making progress towards something else. I'm not saying don't disregard that. That's just on hold for right now. So while that's on hold, you still need to be progressing in another lane. Maybe it's personal care or self betterment, whatever it may be. You feel me? So it's important to have that relationship with your past self, and I think that's one thing I kind of built up. I'm able to look back at my past self and not frown upon the things that I've done, but instead appreciate me doing those things then instead of doing them now, or getting that out the way and like, I'm glad I made that mistake, or I'm glad I was like that, for me to be able to see, for me to be able to see now how I was then, and really learn how much I've grown, and learn how the things that I was doing was a detriment to me. But when you don't have that connection with your past self, you just label everything as, oh man, I was tripping, I was bullshit. You don't give your past self any credit for the evolution for the individual that you are today. You just write everything off of your past self, like, man, I was on some BS, man. I did this, I did that, I did that. So instead of appreciating your past self, in a sense, you're kind of demoralizing or demonizing your past self. When your past self was the building block for the individual that you were today. Like I said, regardless if y'all are two different individuals, that character archetype was the stepping stone to get you to this new archetype that you are. You know what I'm saying? And let's go to this. Like I said, if you was a star athlete in high school, absorb that energy that you know what I'm saying, that of you being that star athlete in high school. So with you thinking, oh, I can't, that was my peak, why wouldn't you absorb that energy from that past character archetype that you were, and start absorbing it and applying it to your current self to gain back that confidence? You might not still be in the same field of playing sports or being that star athlete, but at your job, you can start becoming that, you know what I'm saying, the star co-worker. Just by absorbing that energy of being at your A game. Absorbing the energy of being at your A game while you were in high school, absorb that energy into the current you now. Absorb that mindset, that mentality, the same mentality or mindset that you had while you were a star athlete. Apply that to now, regardless if it's not the same, you know what I'm saying, intensity or type of environment. You can still absorb that energy to better your current self. You feel me? All of these things tie together, bro. Everything ties together. You just got to know what strings and how to connect these strings. But everything that you go through can be beneficial. You feel me? So, like we talked about, number one, appreciate your past, but don't get stuck in it. Appreciate those memories, but don't be living in your memories more than you're living in its current reality, because you're going to find yourself mentally looping in these memories, and you're going to find your real life stagnant because you're living in a non-existent world. Your memories is not a world. You feel me? They're dimensions of the world that happened in the past, but you can't go back and live them in this physical reality. Number two, have that healthy connection, have that healthy relationship between your current self and your past self. And I say a healthy relationship because you really want to kind of develop, in a sense, a spiritual relationship between that old you and that new you. You feel me? So you can have that connection, and the only way to have that connection is you got to heal from certain things in your past for you to even be connected to your old self. Because a lot of people haven't healed from certain things in their past, so they don't even want to have no type of connection to their old self. But what they don't understand is having that connection to your old self betters your new lifestyle. You feel me? So it's a connection, man. It's something that I did in my life. It's catapulted me, not even just on a physical realm, but just mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. It's catapulted me in so many ways for me to be able to appreciate and accept the things that I did in my past, accept my past version, and allow and understand that, hey, that past version was only a building block for me today. Peace.